have a victor between our European matchup as well to set up the grand finals for tomorrow. Let's get into it though, between Liquid and Team 1.
One of my favorite regions of all time to commentate, especially when we get to be in the same room because the energy is just infectious. We haven't even gotten through the band phase yet, and everyone is already being loud and proud about what is possible here. So Habana going to be removed off rip here for Oregon, just simply for the hatch work as well as that range. Hard bridge. But either way, Ying also going to be coming in here for Liquid. Want to make sure they don't have access to that harsh utility on offense.
Yep, Ying getting knocked out there. Ying's become more and more of a common pick, especially on maps like this, specifically for the basement attack. We've seen it used in other places too. Kaid going to come out as well. He's been very useful for trying to mitigate hatch access as well as a couple other key pieces of the attack here. So that'll be the second operator removed by Team Liquid, and finally Team 1 get the last ban. And no surprises there, Valkyrie going to get knocked out.
Yeah, a lot of very straightforward bans, especially for Oregon. I really like the Habana Ying ban here, so it's going to make the hatch play a little bit more complex. Obviously with Kaid out here, they'll be able to use other things if they want to try and get rid of those hatches quickly with, Selma charges or exothermics, but they're more than likely just going to try and torch them open with Maverick, but we'll have to see. We're going to jump into it now, folks. Liquid obviously on offense. Team 1 will start us off on defense, and we're headed to the basement to start us off here.
A couple things getting left into the pool, most notably. You'll see it right in the top middle of your screen there. Flores going to be available. He's been banned out quite often at this tournament, despite being, I believe, still the newest operator in the competitive pool that's been allowed, obviously, into play, not counting the newest operator in the game itself. However, we're not going to see it this round, so we'll talk more about that later as it gets 6 picked away to a Monty instead here for Sexy Cake. And meanwhile, we're going to bring a Mira in for the defense.
This is something that you are going to be seeing pretty often here from Liquid for Sexy Cake.
As well, we do have our community poll, ladies and gentlemen. We want to go ahead and encourage you to submit your vote. Which Brazilian team will secure a spot in the grand finals between Team Liquid and Team 1 eSports? Go ahead and submit your vote, whether it's here in the Twitch chat, over on any of our social platforms. We'll have results a little bit later on, and more importantly, we'll see if you guys were right.
Results may vary. We can't guarantee anything. There is no guarantees inside of a game like this.
This is a tough one, right? Inter-regional matchups all day today. Like the Des was saying, I think that these generally tend to drift a little bit further away from upsets because these teams know each other so well, but Team 1, man, has been given us such a solid performance outside of the groups. It's hard to argue against their potential to maybe cause at least a little bit of an upset against Team Liquid.
Yeah, that's where the fun's going to come in for watching this game from home, is the fact that we get to see Liquid try to dissect Team 1, where a lot of squads have not been able to do so over the last 5 days. This is going to be a big change up inside of pacing for them as well, going up against the powerhouse of Team Liquid. And back to the point I was making before with Sexy Cake and that 6 pick over to the Monty. This is something that we see very often for him, not just the Monty, but just outlandish operators in general. He usually has a carousel of operators. He just constantly rotates through all of the time. He's usually the one adjusting for Liquid to bring something new that could possibly have a higher effect inside of a round. We're about 45 seconds in now, folks, as we see the initial clear of the building here. Team Liquid trying to clear from small tower side across, and actually 2 Team 1 members trying to play very close inside of Freezer Stairs, but they're going to have to back off here as Sexy Cake, just too much pressure with this Monty.
Sexy Cake going to continue to push down. Levy will have no choice but to fall back as a result of that, going all the way outside of Freezer instead. And you'll note this is very early in the round, so it's not going to be too surprising to see Sexy Cake giving up that position relatively quickly and falling back. He will need teammates to make sure that this is going to be supported well. Optimally, opening of the hatch that goes down to Freezer as well, but that'll be more of a secondary objective here for the team. And we can see that actually getting taken care of now here by PSK. Now that they've cleared out most of the first floor.
Fairly straightforward here. Let's go for this Freezer hatch, and then more than likely go for laundry or something along those lines. But we'll have to see exactly what they want to get done. Can always go for E-Box as well. This is a great hatch, and one that you should more likely always be getting. It just gives you immediate access and always have an option to drop in back end here, just in case as well. So we'll see if Liquid want to keep working things. Obviously, they've opened up a multitude of options for themselves and are kind of leaving this up to the wind, really, at the moment to see what Team 1 are going to act like. You can see Team 1 right now kind of rotating around the bomb site, trying to figure out where Liquid actually want to push from, because both of these hatches have now been opened, and they can apply pressure on both ends.
Matt now approaching the final minute of the round. The pressure going to start to broil out here for Team Liquid as they do need to begin moving themselves into the basement, taking that control away from Team 1. And this will be arguably the hardest part of the round. As usual, will be that transition from the first floor downstairs into the basement. Great flash coverage coming out there is going to force Levy back off the pillar spot. KDS, great pre-fire. Unfortunately, there's a shield in the way, so it's not going to give him a kill out right here. Liquid's players taking a lot of damage, but instead they're returning the kills despite Sexy Cake and Muringa going down low. Alamau going to be the first one to be able to trade that back out, bringing it down to a 3v4, but still, number disadvantage now for Team 1. Neskin Locked in the corner here. He's fending off the rotate around the corner into the site. The Monty's going to push him out. The teammate supporting him from the back line. Neskin reads into it, tries to pre-fire. Oh! Neskin, though! The swipe and the shot. Now over to the side armor, trying to get a second one here, but he's stuck behind the shield, so he's got safety to reload. Paluh's going to be able to find another one here, and finally Neskin falls, leaving it all up to Alamau in a 1v3 here. He makes the swing, he finds the headshot, and not just one, but two. Over to the shot for the last, but no, it'll be denied by PSK as Liquid pick up the first round.
You remember when I said LATAM is like one of my favorite regions to commentate? Well, this is why, folks. You get energy out of these games. Team Liquid, they popped both hatches, but the other one was simply just a cruel ploy, which I love. They immediately get Freezer. There was some pressure there from Monty early on. They thought that something could be going on with that area, but that was not the case in the slightest. Instead, they shift the Monty all the way over to construction and start applying pressure to Pillar as well as Elbow at the same time. And what happens? Muringa actually slips in through E-Box hatch like we were talking about before. The flashes start pouring into the area. Nobody can see. They're trying to fight their way out. And all of a sudden, Muringa practically spawns in behind them. Very, very terrible situation for Team 1 to try and work out of, but Neskin made a hell of a stand behind that shield.
It's a great situation for Team 1, though, and if you guys at home want to give Team Liquid your support, you can go ahead in-game now. Check out their new Ace set coming to you from the Rainbow Six Share program. All that and all of the Rainbow Six Share skins that were just released, I believe now available in the Rainbow Six store. Remember, every purchase supports your favorite team, so if you're looking to deck out some of your favorite operators, go ahead and check that out.
All right, well, with that being said, we will continue the rotation of operators here for Sexy Cake, like we were talking about in the first round. First was a 6-pick off of Flores to Monty, but now we're back on the Flores. So, going to have access to those drones, those explosive drones, obviously, to get rid of some extra utility here. This can help them with the position, like what Neskin has going on inside of Elbow, as well as some other things around the area. And the good news is for him is that there's no mute being played by Team 1 or anything to try and prevent him from using these drones. So, should be fairly straightforward for him, minus watching to make sure that they don't get shot.
Going to be a slow rolling process here right now for Team 1. It's obviously restricted quite heavily on the inside of that last round. Not a whole lot of aggression coming out from them either. Not that it's necessarily expected on a basement hold, but they're going to change that story very quickly moving into the second attempt. Liquid, yes, moving in through the small tower and getting access very quickly, but as they approach the freezer stairs, you can see those orange silhouettes. Plenty of trouble lurking around the corner. Thankfully for Liquid, a drone's going to spot it out so they won't fall victim to that aggressive setup.
Interesting. Ended up stacking here again, but obviously really no option for them in this regard. The drone here, more than likely the drone going to push forward as well. Could have a swing here off the M590. Oh no, Nesk gonna have to be careful, but he's not. Alamau plays it out perfectly. It's the prone angle with the shotgun that'll end up catching Nesk off guard, but will also be freezer control going to Liquid as well, at least partially. So they'll get rid of the hatch here. Or at least making these Team 1 members back off of this area, but they've really already gotten their job done. They wanted to kill here. They've been able to secure that.
As we continue to round down that clock once again, Liquid approach that same threshold as they were in the previous round. This time, though, with a disadvantage to play off of here, Team 1 will feel much more secure at their positions, and for the most part, Liquid is going to be approaching this in the same exact way they did the previous round, but with another player down, the chances of Team 1 leveraging this one and taking it for themselves are going to increase by a pretty massive margin. However, that Flores now coming into play here, we can see that explosive drone going to move in. Falls a little bit short. I think he was worried about it getting taken out, so it's only going to knock out what was on the floor right there, not the reinforced shield that Neskin is currently playing behind, and the ADS supporting him as well. We'll need to send in another one to take care of that, but thankfully Sexy Cake has 3 more.
Yeah, exactly. 4 of those drones on Flores, so plenty of utilities still to go through for that, as well as stuns and everything else in the back pockets of these Liquid members to deal with this elbow position, but you're going to have to worry about a couple of different things here, including KDS. He's playing around Boiler. He's going to be managing the big tower stairs here with Levy in tow around Pillar. I got the defensive matrix set up here, but now starting to run into some issues. An extra reinforcement here, or exactly what is the play? We'll have to see, but it seems like the rotation is going to stay open, but now Liquid start to pop off, and this is where things get scary for Team 1. You got the early frag, but now Liquid starting to get control decently early here. Yes, it might be 20 seconds, but that's infinite time inside the siege moments, especially when you have Paluh gunning like that. 2 kills down, Team 1 with only 2 members remaining. Lagonis with a wide spray will take down Muringa and Pillar, but oh no, Lagonis with 2. Paluh can't get it done either. Alamau with a strong position as well. He'll start using the smokes to his advantage. Alamau will take down the diffuser. PSK dies, and Team 1 get their first round.
A fast response from from Team 1 as they quickly learn from their mistakes, bringing in just a tiny bit of extra pressure inside of the early round, and it translates them into an early advantage for the extra kill that you'll see on the replay right now there. Following that, they're able to pull off that same site defense, and this time with the advantage, trade their way out towards a win to be able to lock down that basement site and move on to the next one, which is going to be upstairs.
Alamau once again showing why he's probably the best player on Team 1. His positioning right there paramount to the success of Team 1. They had to try and prevent that plant, and he was the only one that was going to be able to do it in the moment. Fantastic from him, especially for the adjustment into elbow to play his life more safe, able to rotate out and find that frag onto PSK as well, just to guarantee things. So moving forward, we're going to be headed away from the basement as Team 1 have finally gotten around on the map. We're going upstairs to dorms.
We'll see how the dorms defense favors Team 1. This will hopefully enable, once again, that greater capability to play into things more aggressively, more freedom to roam around the map without having to worry about being able to rotate back at an appropriate amount of time here. We'll see once again as Team Liquid needs to suss out this setup as well and figure out the right path forward. We'll take a look and see if Team 1's doing anything a little bit more forward here, a little bit more in the face of Team Liquid. We've seen a lot more strategies recently, such as trying to set up in areas like the bedroom and whatnot, but I don't think we're seeing much of that right now from Team 1.
I think the only thing that we could possibly see here, John, that could be pretty unique is we could see Team 1 going for some things with some presets here. They do have the proximities, so you can always see something interesting happen with these, whether it be a preset nitro cell or just a lineup or what have you, but these are definitely just little beepers that could be annoying every once in a while. When they originally got released, not a lot of people liked them all too much, mainly because they require coordination. So inside of competitive Siege, they can pack quite a wallop.
Seen Levy bring those for the previous 2 rounds as well, I believe, as Liquid got caught pushing down the back stairs as a result of one of those. But regardless now, Liquid are out and about, already clearing out the small tower area once again in order to get their staging point over by the white stairs. Unfortunately, it won't be as free as they believe, as Neskin is still holding things on a rotate between the kitchen as well as on the inside of security there. They will have to either force him back to rotate back upstairs or kill him in some way. They want to try and get access towards that staircase to use it as one of their main pushing angles here. Aside from that, we can expect some pressure to come in over towards the big window if that is indeed going to be the route. Not seeing much lead itself over towards the big tower, so more than likely not going to have much in the way of an attic push going on right now. Instead, that secondary angle will more than likely come through the master bedroom, as we can already see Liquid sending in 2 drones to check it out.
Yeah, Liquid with a lot of info game here, especially with Flores and Yana together. Obviously, explosive drones have a timer on them, but still able to use those for some information. And Gemini, always a positive boon for the offense. Although, it doesn't seem like Liquid want to be pushing too deep into this bottom floor just yet. We assumed it was going to be a quick clear here, but definitely not the case. Instead being very, very controlled with their aggression and making sure they do not overstep. You can see Neskin's got a heck of a lineup here through security door, just simply waiting for somebody to try and walk in through the hallway. But in a way, Team 1 just being quite patient right now. Do not want to try and overextend into Liquid either, because the last time that happened, well, the picks started going the way of Liquid, and they ended up putting themselves into a pretty scary situation overall. As for Liquid, though, it's still set up on both ends here. They're able to get Master open and at least negotiate for that. muringa's going to have flank watch set up here for the with the air jabs and start droning forward with Sexy Cake to try and get rid of some of this utility in sight.
Still very much an emphasis on the drone game to figure out the exact nature of the setup here from Team 1. Levy probably going to be the most dangerous proponent of this push, working its way in from the bedroom right now, as we'll be able to take out at least some of the resistance on the ground. Still going to be at least 1 magnet in the top right corner of the room that will eat up probably a flashbang or 2 that they end up chucking in here. But remember, they've got the breach in through the walk-in closet as well to try and play from. The rest of Liquid still focusing on a white stairs and big window play, but it's not looking like they have the greatest capability to move forward. Another explosive drone goes off. That'll deal with the extended position for the attic player here. Alamau trying to get aggressive to move himself over onto the inside of the game, but so far only 1 kill coming in for Paluh. However, aside from that, no time really left here, as oh no, Alamau overextends, doesn't realize there's an air jab sitting inside of the connector. That's another one down for Team 1, but the time continues to grow lower and lower here. Will Liquid be able to get themselves in and find the plant? It's looking likely now, as Sexy Cake's already halfway there. Denial on his support, but they can't find the plant. Their swing goes down, and now Neskin and Levy must retake.
Oh no, well, a quick kill here from Paluh. Quick answers from Liquid overall, and now down to Levy inside of a 1 versus 4. Attic position currently, but not much room to breathe, and Nesk will snuff out the flame. Team 1 not able to get it done, and Team Liquid jump ahead here once again.
So Team Liquid continue to rebound as they did in that first round there as well, or bounded themselves forward anyway, as they take the lead away from Team 1 after another successful attack there, this time upstairs against the Kids' defense. For Team 1, they are choosing not to stick around on that. They'll move immediately towards a new site. They don't want to rerun the same saga that just happened in the basement and trade these rounds back and forth as well. Liquid, despite the very low time and the fact that they were completely outside of the site still with about 15 seconds left and only 1 kill on the board, they make it happen regardless there. They had full confidence in their push, and Team 1 was the one that was lacking that confidence, it seemed, to try and stop it.
Liquid is just one of those teams where if you give them time and they're able to set up, you're going to have a lot of problems. Every time on Execute, I hope you guys have noticed inside of the game so far, they end up getting like a 2 to 3K inside of that initial entry, and it puts Team 1 into a really bad spot. They're not really able to battle back in the way that they want to. That's why Alamau was getting so aggressive there, because he knew if he got a pick onto Liquid, that more than likely shore up that side of the map. Because what they did is they ended up using that pressure from Master, get the wall open. They obviously have Nesk as well as I believe Paluh working that small tower side of the map. Nesk is going to hold down low to make sure no one can rotate into small tower and try and get up behind Paluh and flank him, and he's just holding things down on double window. And the reason that he's doing that is because there's so much area to try and work inside of the dorm space in general for the defense that if you're holding onto that window, it limits a lot of the potential to try and swing out and deal with a couple of these different areas up top. There's only a couple of areas in which you can actually maneuver yourself to try and fight those positions for Master. So very well done from Liquid there. They obviously push forward with Nesk after that, right up white, and he's able to get a frag onto Alamau as well. So they just continue to dissect where Team were inside of the site, and it just worked out so very well for them.
So we are going to see Team 1 still maintain some upstairs control now inside of this downstairs defense. It's a much more direct one as well, so Liquid has a very short checklist of things they need to take care of before they're going to have the capability to at least start their push. The problem is a lot of secondary things they might want to try and handle before they are going to be so bold as to go for it, such as the upstairs hold, as well as this extension into the showers.
And here we go once again with Sexy Cake. This is the third operator now that he's played, and he's going all across the spectrum, John. This is a sign of an amazing Siege player. He's on Maverick, he's on Monty, he's on Flores, and every single one of the operators that he's playing works, and he does it very, very well. Even though he's 1-1, he's still got that plant. He's been able to do a lot for his squad thus far. Pretty unique here, pretty unique setup when it comes to Team 1 setup here, mostly because of the site that they chose in between the two that are available. You either have Kitchen Meeting or Kitchen Cafeteria. Kitchen Cafeteria, the less defendable of the two, obviously still workable, otherwise Team 1 wouldn't go here, but the biggest thing is these walls. These walls are easily accessible from the offense, and they're not easily defendable by the defense. KDS might run into a couple of issues here inside of Shower, but this is a very pivotal area to be playing in general. He really needs to make a stand here, and if this goes by the wayside, this is more than likely going to be problematic for Team 1. Really like the setup that they have going for Shower Hallway as well, just to limit Liquid from actually flushing out and getting another angle on the Team 1 Shower player.
Yeah, the shower wall getting torn apart a little bit too quickly here, so Sexy Cake going to have free reign to move himself forward into that now. Flash is supporting him almost a little bit too much there as well, as quickly cracks out the glass on the bulletproof camera there. Make sure they can't get any useful info from it. Oh, and a nice catch as well from Sexy Cake right there, as the Yokai rolls right past him. It was trying to be set up in the site to deny the first plant attempt. Not going to work out. Second Yokai moving in now. Sexy Cake still watching. He's going to catch that one too as it gets destroyed there. Alamau wants to make an aggressive swing and try to at least put some posturing forward as they're trying to stem the tide as Liquid gains so much control, and now we're pretty much ready to go for the assault on the site here. It's only just up to Liquid. I think they were looking for a kill or two before they tried to push themselves forward. Now they have it. KDS though sneaking to the inside. They have no idea that he's here. Along with him, Neskin also able to find another kill against Sexy Cake. Paluh will trade it right back, evens us up. But KDS keeping things going here for Team 1. PSK does the same for Liquid as we stay even between these two teams, and Liquid suddenly come to a bit of a halt here. Paluh trying to move in through the kitchen, so far succeeding in that, pushing Levy back through security. Levy will take down Paluh's teammate though before going down, and that brings us into a 1v1 to settle this round with less than 10 seconds. Paluh needs to commit to it, but it's KDS who's hiding out in the showers. He hops over. Paluh tries to react, but he's too slow, and KDS responds for Team 1 as they pick up their second round.
And that right there is why the shower fight is so very important. You can see the amount of bodies that Team 1 and Liquid all through at this position, because in order to try and get a plant down in a place like Cafe, you actually need to just dislodge everyone from that area. For Liquid, it was a little bit different. They actually ended up, I believe, sending PSK in through Kitchen Hallway at one point there. He kind of got into like this weird scenario where he was stuck in between Cafe and the kitchen area, and he ended up getting taken down, obviously, by KDS. But, I mean, again, some fantastic stuff here from Team 1 and a great defense of this site.
We're going to get an Ella pick potentially here now as we back into the basement. This is one of the few sites where we tend to see that Ella play move out pretty often, because you have a good amount of aggression that can be leveraged here from Ella. Not only to mention that, but the utility from her, those tiny little Geschmack mines, could be very annoying for Team Liquid if they're going to have to haphazardly move in at low time without necessarily exploring the whole site with drones should that issue pop up here. We'll also see the FO12 being brought specifically onto Alamo, which means more than likely is going to try to play a close angle either on one of the staircases in the early round and then probably fall back to a tight angle for the actual execution.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing here is that Team 1, in comparison to their defenses from before, do not have the same amount of plant denial. That's the biggest thing. They're going to have 2 nitro cells here on KDS and Lagonis, so obviously can still play prevent, but they're still going to have to worry about that later on. This Ella pick up here for Alamo, he was the smoke player the last time, so we're looking to have some influence here from this, but obviously Ella starting to work her way back into the meta, especially from these Grismont mines. She's just a very aggressive option, and whenever those pop off, more than likely guaranteed a gunfight. Obviously, those can sometimes go sour, but for the most part, definitely a way to get an early pick, an early advantage, or just try and thwart and execute overall if everyone is not looking for those ice cream cones.
Going to see Team Liquid once again prioritizing the early push.
Same clear every time as well.
Pretty
Always
much.
small tower and a cross, and there's always this double
same.
stack sitting right here. Hello, Levy and Neskin.
Swear, we saw this before.
It's almost like they're going to get droned out and run downstairs or something like that.
Deja vu. But anyway, Team Liquid will go for that same clear. The drone will more than likely spot these 2 players. They'll shoot it, more than likely, and then they'll fall back.
Please, PSK, please drone them. Not this time. Not like this. Not like this.
I think the drone already heard like footsteps or something, and they're like, yeah, they're here. I don't even need to peek this. There we go. Now they saw it. Okay, so there, drone shot, starting to fall back. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if like 1 or 2 would try to stick there for a second or 2, but yeah, there's going to be no immediate reaction from Team Liquid. Levy predictably falling back, as will his teammate.
I would suspect that Liquid are not going to be as forceful with Freezer this time around as well, since Nesk ended up getting picked from that pretty awkward angle that Alamo was holding prone on the stairwell with the M590, but obviously not going to have access to that weapon this time around. As for Liquid, though, it's a pretty easy clear of the top floor. They'll begin working on their hatches here. We'll see what they want to try and get open. They're starting off with security once again here. Let's see if PSK wants to go across. Obviously, the last time that we saw this from them, it was kind of a mixed bag of what they were going to do. Team 1 really couldn't get a read on the situation until it was a little bit too late. Liquid were able to overwhelm Pillar. Had a little bit of trouble with Elbow, especially when it came to the shield. We saw a pretty nice frag come out from that, but it was still a Liquid round overall.
Liquid, though, trying to rebound themselves here after Team 1 was the most recent victor on this site, having adjusted properly. KDS posturing there for a bit of an aggressive swing up the back steps, but I think realized that there might be some presence already established, and he certainly knows that he's been revealed now. So he's going to have to hold back for at least a few minutes and let Liquid be the aggressors in this situation, as they've done in the past.
Levy capturing some things with those discs. KDS going to take a little bit of damage, but with 45 seconds remaining, Liquid have got to do something here. They've cleared out so much utility. The drone game's still strong as well. They just have to decide where to strike first, and it's looking like it's going to be this Pillar execute once again. Trying to drop as many of these drones in here right now as possible is Sexy Cake, as he's going to get rid of as much utility around the area. Oh no, Alamo starting to stack some Grishmots as well, and this is starting to seem like the answer that they wanted. Frag grenade out, wasn't ready for that. Muringa goes down as well. Paluh has to try and hop in and assist Pillar, but oh no, he's not ready for KDS and Boiler, but it's traded out by Nesk.
Such a close battle between these 2 teams as it comes down to the 3v3. Once again, Liquid going to be pressed for time as they must force their way into the site. They're given access to the back angle here. Neskin is still going to have the opportunity to shut down PSK, and he'll succeed in it. That's case down. More than likely the round right there here, but still Liquid are going to try to frag it out anyways. Everything falls to Sexy Cake, and he too will fall to Neskin as he rips everyone to shreds in the late round.
Nobody's looking out for the ice cream cones, John. They just walk right into the Grishmots and have so much trouble trying to get into sight after the initial botch of E-Box. Obviously, nice frag to start us off there, but the execute just not as cleanly as it was before. And Team 1 make a hell of a stand, especially with the audible being called by Alamo there, you know, especially with the way that Liquid had been playing. The prevent utility seemed a little bit more important there for a split second, but it was a heck of a shot call, and it worked out for him.
So a great adjustment for Team 1 yet again inside of the mid-round there, continues to excel in specifically the basement holds, as they are 2 out of 3 on those attempts inside of this half. Only one more round 2 attempt here for Team 1, however, as they're going to go back upstairs one more time. This will be the second attempt on this site with only a loss, unfortunately, so far in the half. and Team Liquid being very successful in their attack despite an incredibly low time to execute. It was a 5v4 with 15 seconds left, and Liquid weren't even in the site yet. Despite that fact, they still got it done. So let's see if they'll repeat it or if Team 1 once again has learned their lesson.
We will indeed, my friend. We will indeed. And for this setup here for Team 1, this is looking a little different, at least on the trophy side here. They're stacking up their utility as well as shield play, so Lagonis will be able to transfer out of trophy into that main plat area. So, looks like, yeah, they're definitely going to be stacking up on this side. Soft angles as well here. Very interesting, like what we're seeing. So they're going to be setting up basically a big crossfire right in towards the master area in general. And this is going to really assist them in trying to deal with Liquid's main play for master, which what we saw the last time is they really wanted to cut off shower, make sure that Paluh was safe upstairs to play double, and then they just simply cleared things out inside of this area, got the wall open, and started to try and pull Team 1's eyes over towards this space so Liquid could get things done on the other side of the map. This time it's not going to be the case. Team 1 have already set up their angles, and Liquid are going to have to try and fight them if they want this space.
As we see what exactly Liquid will be trying to shift in towards here in the first couple of seconds. I'm expecting not too much of a surprise here, as once again Liquid found success on their strategy the last attempt, and it's already looking like they're going to rerun that same strategy. Possibility of maybe a little bit more presence towards the big tower. However, without a Maverick in play, I think that's pretty unlikely for the most part, and more than likely we're going to see that same type of clear deployed by Liquid yet again. And I think so far I'm pretty right on that, as we've got the small tower as well as master pushes being built up now by this attacking roster.
Looks like we're going to also have some air jabs down here as well with the bottom white possibly, or just simply the angle being held. We'll have to see, but either way, it's still going to be quite a bit of assistance coming here from Muringa. What's up, friend?
Interesting that the walk-in's been left soft this time.
Well, it's for the angles, so that they can't actually get in off the master balcony. So like this is all set up to have that shield as well as that trophy area be supported with Alamau through this soft destruction. That's why they also set up the angles for the top of white, so you can see in through there and make sure that no one can possibly get anything done with the master closet without taking some heat. That's the entirety of this game plan for Team 1 right now. They do not want Liquid to have master control, and that's why Muringa is going to start moving in from armory. They want to apply pressure in different areas. You can see the drone spinning up as well, and this is the beauty of Flores here. They set up a bunch of things to make sure that deployable shield position could be locked up, but it simply can't be done with ADSs and my discs.
A little bit of robot wars there for Liquid too. They had to distract the player that was holding that angle with a few other drones to make sure they could actually sneak the destructive one in. Despite that fact though, aggression now over here on the first floor from Team 1's going to give them their first kill against Nesk. Muringa also taking some heat here. Paluh actually rotating outside from the small tower over towards the big window, but no, Alamau with the hop out from the white stairs window is going to catch him instead. The first frag will finally ring out from Team Liquid, but it's shallow unfortunately, as Levy's going to be able to immediately trade it. Once again, just one pickup for Sexy Cake, and he goes down, and a very solid defense being put up by Team 1 as they get in the faces of Team Liquid this time and shut them down to end the half.
So Team 1 were just looking for a brawl that entire time. They start off over on the master side that we were talking about with those angles, but those are literally never used in the entirety of the round. Liquid doesn't even try to mess with that space, all except for Muringa for a little while, but he simply puts down an air jab and gets rid of the default camera. They try to throw it on over to the other side of the map, but not before Team 1 hop 2. They take down Nesk downstairs and transfer that into just a quick sprint up white and gunfights all over the place. Liquid not able to take most of them, end up losing out. So their offense is going to go 2-4 at the half, but now obviously going to be on the defense, and they too will start off in the basement.
Bit of a defender-sided map, so it's not going to be too surprising. And more importantly for the Liquid fans out there, it's not the end of the world that they've gone down 2-4. Very easy for them to round back and come back here, especially if they can just pick up these first 2 rounds on the traditional sites that we normally see the defenders excel at. They've got a basement defense coming up. This goes well. We can almost pretty easily predict that they'll head upstairs towards the kids' defense, and if they win both of those rounds, well, we're right back into a close game here as we tied up at 4-4 at that point. Obviously, we need to see success from Liquid before that can happen, so let's take a look at what they're doing for the basement set. Nothing's too surprising here. Mirror window is going to help out, and the assistance here, more than anything, going to allow them to get a little bit more aggressive when those initial peaks begin to come in for Team 1, as you can see here with the freezer angle they'll set up, as well as another one that Paluh has a couple choices of where he wants to put this down, so we'll wait and see where exactly it's going to go, and it's going to be in the standard position here inside of the closet.
Yep, layered utility here for Liquid as per usual when it comes to the basement. We're going to be using the Banshees to slow everyone down on the entry, smokes to deny space and or plant. Ness going to be making sure to put those mute jammers down to more than likely play spoils for the Flores drones, just make sure sure a couple of these positions a little bit more difficult for Team 1 to try and dispatch, and obviously Jaeger to protect those positions overall. So really solid setup here for Liquid, very straightforward, and probably a lot of things that most people have drawn up at home as well, but that doesn't mean that it doesn't work. That's the biggest thing. Liquid make these setups work all of the time, and this utility, and especially the way that they're using it, is very, very impactful. As for Team 1 side of the camp, though, they're going to be going with 2 hard breachers. This is something that we didn't see Liquid using for their basement offenses very often. Instead, they usually had Sexy Cake on Flores, as well as a round on Monty. So Team 1 going to have access to a heck of a lot more hatches than Liquid did when they were attacking the basement.
They're still going to have the Flores in play as well, though, on Alamau, so that same capability to quickly deal with the utility setups that Liquid will certainly have deployed down here in the basement. Hatchwork being done now by Team 1, as unfortunately for Team Liquid, they have chosen not to try and aggress against this here, so it is going to be pretty much free all day here for Team 1 to open up at least the 2 of these hatches, and we can already see Levy working on the 3rd and final one, likely the most pivotal one too, if we see Team 1 go for the typical basement attack.
Yes, indeed, my friend. That would be the most typical way to handle this. Construction, big tower, and E-box hatch all being a big part of this plan. With a minute 30 left, Team 1 do not exactly have to jump immediately head first into the deep end of the pool, but doesn't mean that they don't have to or that they can't. But looks like I'm just going to start things off here with the drone game on the bottom floor. Just want to make sure that Liquid are in the positions that they are assuming that they are, and obviously this is going to be looking quite similar positioning-wise. PSK going to be playing right inside of the construction door here. Sexy Cake in elbow. He'll be holding the cross for now as stuns go out, more than likely backed up by a frag grenade soon enough, and yes it is. Neskin lining that up right now. Sexy Cake is going to get caught off guard. He won't. The mute jammer is going to get taken out as well, though, so it's going to give Alamau some space to work with his drones.
Sexy Cake fending things off with those toxic babes, the first of which going down a few seconds ago. Won't be able to completely delay out all of the time here, but he can certainly get in the way of this push. However, Alamau and the rest of Team 1 want to move forward regardless, but they have to challenge. They have 590 for that, and that's a dangerous weapon to challenge in a closed-up corridor. On top of his double kill, Neskin Paluh also picking up 2, so it's all down to Lagonis now in the 1v4 as he trades one out, but that's it. Nesk immediately shuts it down, and Liquid give us a dominating stance on their first defensive round.
And this is where things get scary, especially for Team 1. When you have plays like that, especially coming out of Sexy Cake, one of the most damning smokes ever seen. There's been so many times that the guy's able to make plays like this. It just ends up putting the dagger right in the heart of the offense in this situation. Team Liquid shore things up going into round A, but they still need 1 round to tie us up here as well. It's going to be Dorm's defense next for Liquid. They don't want to mess around with Kitchen yet, and I cannot blame them. Definitely not a fun sight when it comes down to it. Either way, you want to slice it. So they're actually going to be going with a 6 pick here as well, and wouldn't you know it, it's going to be Sexy Cake again. He's going away from the Echo, and what are you feeling, Sexy Cake? Can you give us some insight here, my man? I would greatly appreciate it. It's going to be the Aruni gates along for the ride.
Nothing crazy with the Aruni being 6-picked in here. More than anything, it's just an extra bit of utility mitigation that Team 1 more than likely would have liked to read into on the reveal phase, but ultimately probably is not going to end up being the end of the world if they don't catch it or don't have the utility to reach it past it. Plenty other ways to deal with that. The most notable one being KDS's utility. The Gemini there can just run right through that and dissipate the laser gates for the timer.
The biggest utility piece on here has got to be Alamau.
Of course.
The biggest utility piece has got to be Alamau, my friend. And the reasoning is because Thatcher somehow made it through the ban phase. We don't get to really see him that often because his ban rate is so unbelievably high, but he's going to be crazy impactful for this round, especially that Alamau has taken him because of the amount of electronic utility that the defense has. In fact, every single piece of defensive utility that you're looking at right now that you would find annoying, ADSs, laser gates, banshees, mute jammers, all affected by EMPs. So that's pretty big when it comes down to it. Obviously, Muringa can also be affected by that, but that's such a rarity when it comes to toxic babes.
It's gotten to a degree here now where even when Thatcher is left in the pool here, quite a few teams have kind of worked him out of their lineups now because they just expect him to be banned. So there's already been a couple games this tournament, I'm pretty sure, where even though Thatcher was left in, his pick rate was like really low, or we just didn't see him.
Nobody knows how to play around him anymore because he's banned so often. You know, you and I talk about this all the time, but Thatcher ban is your choice between do you want to play Siege on easy mode or hard mode? Because without Thatcher, you have to do few more tasks, it's less straightforward. But with EMPs, you can just simply do whatever you want at the end of the day, to be honest with you. Like, he can just toss an EMP right into Trophy, disable all of that, and Team 1 could essentially rush, really, if they wanted to. But obviously, that's not going to be the case. I'm just giving you guys an example. But we're about a minute in here now as Team 1 still working the map. Obviously, going to be starting off with Tower here, mapping this across. They've already gotten Master. This was very early on here as well. No prevention from down low from Liquid, but don't necessarily have to either. Usually their crosses are pretty tough. Doesn't look like they really had a read when it comes to the classroom position being open. The fact that they could possibly get down there, but also Team 1 making sure to cover that up as well. We can see that drone sitting on the hatch there for Laundry, just to make sure no one was in the area. But Liquid still going to have these two bodies down low, just to make sure they can possibly get some Nitro Cell kills if Team 1 aren't aware.
It's going to be still quiet days here for both of these teams as Team 1 try to figure out what the game plan is going to be to work themselves in already with Master Control to play off of, but still a lot more to go here. And the good news is, in my opinion, still a good amount of time to work that. Liquid starting to use some of their utility, most notably Muringa, beginning to throw the Toxic Babes on the walk, and Paluh finally commits himself to the engagement from down below here, causing some delay here. And oh, the pre-fire from Neskin, if he committed to it for a couple more shots, might have gotten the kill versus Paluh, but not going to pan out. Instead, misses that opportunity, and the defender will fall back. Muringa now holding a close angle on the breach inside of games, as well as continuing to chuck out the Toxic Babes. Time now at a very, very detrimental point here. He'll throw out his last Toxic Babe to bring it down to right around 30 seconds before everything will be cleared out once again for Team 1 to assault it.
And this could be super hard for Team 1 right now because they do not have execute utility. They have an extra frag grenade on KDS, but this is going to allow Muringa to play very close to his angles. And that M590, we know how punishing it can be. Nasty ends up getting taken down, but what's going to be the change up here? They'll end up losing the body down low. Alamo on very low HP, so he's going to have to hop too soon. Paluh making sure that they can't get control of main stairs right now, but it's more than likely going to be white. We can see the swing through the laser gates here as well. Neskin playing very close, and that M590 will rip him to shreds. It's going to be the flood in here from the tower side, the small tower side, in fact. KDS is going to get taken down. PSK with one of his own, but finally Alamo fires back, but not enough time on the clock. Everyone standing still at the top of white stairs. They simply could not get it done up against the Storm's defense.
Yeah, unfortunately, by the time we got down to the final push coming in from the white side over there, it's just nowhere near enough pressure to fend off Liquid. Liquid have absolutely nothing to worry about there, so they can just hold angles against that push. A tiny little doorway coming from white stairs is really all they have to worry about. Obviously, Muringa made his own aggressive swing. Second round in a row now. There's been a tight angle, and an M590 has pretty much killed one of the aggressive vectors that Team 1 were trying to use to get into the site. And as a result of that, Liquid make that two-round run I was talking about at the beginning of the half, and we're tied up at 4-4.
And these LATAM squads are no slouches when it comes to the SAS operator kit. You guys have seen throughout the entirety of this game so far the way that they approach these angles with this M590, constantly making sure to shore up angles and get close and make sure that if they are in range, they're at least going to get down. It's been very solid play from both sides here, all the way from Sexy Cake to Muringa, all the way to Alamo. I mean, there's just been beautiful play from this kit throughout the entirety of this game thus far. But for Team 1, instead of that last round, just kind of botched it when it came to what was going on over on the Masters side. They really didn't have any opportunity to try and propel themselves forward from that situation. And then once they tried to come back to it, we see Neskin try to simply slip in through the cracks, obviously after they were able to get the Master Breach open, but that was already being managed by Muringa, and they ended up taking him down. Yeah, he took a little bit of heat, but there was no one there from Team 1 to try and reconcile with that situation, as all of them were simply over on Dorm's double as well as white, and they simply couldn't get in on that side because that's where, where most of the Liquid bodies were. So you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place, don't really have any space inside of the building to work from, just almost an impossible situation when Liquid are winning their gunfights like that.
With the time already steadily ticking down against Team 1's attack here, we'll once again see what exactly Liquid are going to try and utilize to try and give them an advantage. They've gone for the opposite approach for their tertiary site in the meanwhile here, going all the way out towards Meeting, whereas Team 1 took the opposite option over into the cafeteria. Successfully, however, and we'll see if that will be the same fate for Team Liquid as they look to try and take the lead away from Team 1 here and push themselves up to 5-4. Slow rolling going in here for Team 1. There's a lot of spread among Team Liquid's setup all the way across this map right now, so they will have to try and tear that apart, push them into a corner here before they're going to feel confident to begin moving in. Big emphasis on not only the basement clear from Team 1 here, as well as the tower focus, as we generally will tend to see from time to time, though, by the attackers.
Very interesting. Okay, so the top hold obviously going to be a thing here, as it will be playing kitchen in meeting, but the thing that I'm kind of about right now would be the fact that there's really nothing going on down low for Liquid here. It's usually what we see is that hatch being popped and then being played down low, but the big thing here is that the offense is obviously aware of these situations. So usually the initial step, like John was talking about, is clear out the basement and make sure that there's no one playing around that area because of what can be done with these nitro cells to prevent the stage plant here. And yes, it is indeed an issue. We're about 1:30 in here. The only good news about this, though, my friend, is that the angles are quite tight right here through stage. So the only area that he's really going to have to worry about is if he steps out past the bomb chassis or if Addict starts to become a problem. Otherwise, PSK should be safe in this position, but Team 1 can always surge forward with some extra information and take him out as well.
PSK trying to impact trick that as well. A little bit off the mark to be able to pull that off. So once again, the breach is open. Nade gonna roll in. Pretty sure it's gonna get eaten up by this little barricade right here, but no, that's just what you were talking about. The swing goes a little bit past the bomb chassis, and we say bye-bye to PSK.
Know your angles, folks.
Nesk is now the only one in the site itself, but it's important to note there is a huge force still upstairs and just off the site that could potentially try and retake the site if the need should arise. However, the direct confrontation is looking very clean right now for Team 1, so you should expect the execute to come out in the next couple of seconds here. Neskin going to get forced into a different position. Unfortunately, that explosive drone pushing him out of his usual angle there and opening up the path of attack for Team 1 as soon as this toxic babe fades away.
Oh, well, things quickly becoming problematic for Liquid. The plant's starting to go down on stage. It doesn't seem like anyone's aware. Nesk with 2! Neskin not able to land the shots, and now Liquid have a chance, and who better to do it than Nesk? KDS has to step forward now, as with the rest of Team 1. Obviously know the position that they were swung from the last time. They'll change the plant position to the middle area. They'll end up shooting straight through. Can they down him? Alamo down dead and gone. Team 1, the opportunity's dwindling. They can't get the shots to land, and that's going to be the round. No plan attempt, and Liquid get it done inside a meeting.
It's that one singular play which absolutely trips everything up for Team 1. They're Liquid, beautifully done, and not showing their cards until the very end, not giving any aggressive swings out until they knew the plant was being committed, and then you see that great double pickup from Ness, which we're going to see once again here on the replay. Drops the planter, a nice shift on the spray control, over to the head of Neskin as well. Tries to even go for a third, but realizes his HP is just a tad too low to re-attempt that. Paluh reconfirms it for a moment later on the secondary back angle there and shuts it down once again on the timer. Beautiful stuff from Team Liquid. I do believe we're going to get a tactical pause coming in now.
Literally sitting right next to each other, so you can kind of work those in between, but either way, it's difficult for Liquid to try and push themselves up those 3 lanes simply because Team 1 not only have rifles, but the angles are already set up. You're simply walking into the lion's den at that point. So they had to strike when the iron was hot, and that's exactly what they did. Obviously, Team 1 not okay with that. Perfect time to take this tactical timeout as we jump back into the game.
As we move back into that game now, Liquid once again, as I said before, back into the basement setup. Not going to be anything really changing up here as far as that setup is concerned. Still bringing a lot of the same notes to the table, most notably the mirror for the support and the smoke for the delay, and obviously a various amount of traps and drone mitigation away from that. Team 1 at the same time also bringing that very similar look. I think in fact the same exact lineup from the last attack here, still emphasizing on the Flores to deal with the on-site utility and the double hard breach to quickly take care of the hatches and maybe open up a possibility for opening one of the inside walls if they really need to do that.
Yeah, so quick math will tell you that they have 10 pieces of utility right now to get rid of things. They have 6 frag grenades and 4 of those explosive drones out of Alamo. Lagonis also might have some burn on him as well if he has some stuns, but he could obviously have the smokes here, and that's more than likely the case. So for Team 1, plenty of utility to break down this Liquid setup. Hopefully they don't walk into an M590 again, though.
That's been a problem at least 2 of our rounds here, unfortunately, so Team 1 do need to be cognizant of that. But once again, the time has forced that out of them on the 2 times that we have seen it here on the broadcast. So hopefully going to be able to avoid that fate once again. Liquid have been looking strong, and more importantly, their delay potential has continued to be impressive here against Team 1. Team 1 seem nervous to move in against these setups from Team Liquid and are struggling to find early picks, let alone any early opportunities to get into the site. A little different on that last round there as things finally turned around. But like I said, that was a tertiary site, easily the weakest site more than likely for Team Liquid in terms of win rate. As a result of that, it should be expected that it would be a closer round. Not going to be much action, though, like I was talking about before, inside of this first minute or two. Liquid does not feel the need to play into any sort of aggressive swings from the staircases, so they will be held back, and that means Team 1 have a very easy job in front of them of just opening up the 3 hatches.
Yeah, you can see they're basically just trying to set the land speed record when it comes to getting these hatches open because they know Liquid is all downstairs, and that's where the problems start to present themselves. It's not getting the hatches because the hatches are extremely straightforward, and Liquid are not going to be playing around them either. They'll be playing for the drops instead, especially when it comes to E-Box. So, but as for the rest of this, though, you can see Liquid's setup overall is meant to get information early here, all except for obviously the elbow area. This is simply just that usual cutoff that we see from Sexy Cake with the PSK in tow, just to make sure that they can't simply just pressure into one side here. The other one can help the other one. And then the mirror window setup that they have over towards Freezer to make sure that no one can get in there unbeknownst to them. So it's a really solid setup from Liquid once again, like we were talking about in their previous round. Team 1, though, last time able to prioritize the position inside of elbow, but that's also where the biggest issue was because they walked into that shotgun like we were talking about before, and Sexy Cake was able to make a stand that lost Team 1 the round.
Quicker pace coming out here now from Team 1, executing in a minute, but no clearance coming in here. They're going to trade their way, or at least attempt to trade their way towards a win. Going okay so far as KDS equalizes things once again with the most recent pickup versus Nesk. Lagonis, however, stuck at the moment on the inside of Freezer, and he might not realize Muringa trying to go for an aggressive swing right now. The mirror window does get dropped. That gives additional pressure for Lagonis. The mirror going to move forward, though, capitalizing on the uncertainty there for Lagonis and Liquid. Take the player advantage yet again. Nade's going deep into the site, hopefully capitalizing upon someone that's going to be in a position by the closet. That would have been the mirror, but she's since rotated out. Now Sexy King. Oh no, not again. You see them rotating in. This could just be another M590 play in the making, and here we go, 1 and 2. He does it for a second time as that shotty shuts it all down yet again.
Shoddy Bugatti, my friend. The M590 gets it done again, and that's why this character is so very important. You have to have a good SAS operator player on your team, and Sexy Cake, one of the best in the biz. Look at that beautiful angle play, folks. He just stays to the inside and waits to hear their audible footsteps up close and personal. He's like, well, that's convenient, because you're dead.
And unfortunately for Team 1, they don't really have any other option at that point other than attempting to try and stack close enough together that they can get the quick trade-off after one of them goes down. But still, not enough time. Like you said, Sexy Cake plays the angle perfectly, avoids the second player after he gets that first pump off, and then is able to re-peek and shut things down.
It's all about making sure that you have the time to get back into cover for that split second to get that next shotgun shell in there. It's just the quick pump. That's all you need. As long as you're able to create that disconnect from your opponent, you're more than likely going to win yet another gunfight. And that's why that gun is so very influential over rounds. But you guys more than likely know that because this entire game has basically been M590s just popping off and killing people. As for Team 1, though, I'll be honest, I really didn't like the rush strat, mostly because Liquid knew that it was going to happen.
Yep.
That was the biggest
thing. And again,
thing.
as far as nothing was really taken care of. They didn't really deal with much of the utility.
They just chucked stuns in and were like, hey, let's go kill people.
All right, let's just try to get a staging ground here. Hopefully we have more time to get on the site this time. And didn't really work out. So once again, they walk into that M590. It's like that scene out of Hot Fuzz, you know? It's just every time they walk up to Nesk is just shame.
Shame. Oh, man, what a great movie. Either way, though, Liquid, most importantly, Team 1, now out the gates here for possibly the last round we have here on Oregon. If that doesn't end up being this, it'll be a 7-4 here. Obviously, Team 1 can possibly force overtime, but they're going to need 2 rounds in a row in order to do so. And this Liquid defense does not seem to be slouching in the slightest, especially when it comes to Nesk inside of this game especially. He's been such a powerhouse of a player alongside Paluh to get a lot of these big frags early.
Let's see here now if Paluh can get it done along with the rest of Liquid. They've got 2 opportunities to shut this down. And like I said, so far they've been absolutely flawless on their defensive half. Not a single round dropped here. 4 in a row for them. Starting this half off 2-4, now bringing it all the way up to 6-4. A quick attempt there to try and open things up on the walk in the closet, and it will work out for Team 1. Although it is not going to deal with the soft wall from the looks of things, so I'll have to deal with that. Thankfully, they've got a sledge, so that shouldn't be too much of an issue.
It also, just to put it out there, it also could just be are pop. Sometimes
Yeah,
that
that's
does
true
happen
as
every
well.
once in a while. So if you see somebody walk through the soft wall that's still there on our screen, please do not freak out. There's no poltergeist in your house. It's okay. Everything's going to be fine.
It's a new operator. He's a ghost.
Yeah, his sledge now has Nook's ability and is able to walk through walls, basically. That's it. So, but either way, though, we're about halfway through the round now here as Team 1 have gotten themselves a little bit of a staging ground here on the Master side, but we saw this the last time as well, and they still couldn't get too much done. Liquid just making a hard stance across the entirety of the site and finding some big frags early to prevent Team 1 from trying to flood in. And that obviously forced them into kind of a different execute. So they had to push over towards the actual dorm side, come up white, and they ran into a lot of problems there, but they're actually going to start off strong this time around. Alamau with the big frag onto muringa will actually start to give up Attic, but you can see Sexy Cake in the wings here, simply waiting. Still plenty of utility in his pocket to deal with this.
Significant first kill, too, as it clears out the Attic position. Paluh is not ready for another swing to come out from Levy there, so Team 1 get themselves a big advantage to build off of a 3v5, in fact, here. Sexy Cake trying to hold an aggressive angle against the swing from KDS and nearly gets him too, but Sexy Cake also now going to be found out as a drone works its way in. Levy nearly knocked out there, I believe by an impact or a nitro cells. He goes down to just a sliver of his own HP. Sexy Cake still trying to hold on to this spot, but he's also having more frag grenades getting sent his way. KDS now takes down PSK. The defenses continue to get weaker and weaker for Team Liquid. Finally, a frag comes back, but that'll be it. One pickup from Nesk is all they get on the inside of this round, and finally, Team 1 get their own attacking round.
And that is a triple from the star boy out of LATAM, Alamau, with a triple there on the Thatcher play. Fantastic from him, and a big change up inside of the round for Team 1 overall. Liquid simply playing default there. They really didn't move around all too much. They had a roamer down low, but literally zero impact out of that. It was simply an Attic push out of Team 1 that worked extremely well. Continued to pressure the smoke back as well. Eventually able to take down Sexy Cake, who did his damnedest to try and delay, but it was just all for naught at the end of the day. Liquid get to head back to dorms, and there's a 6 pick from Sexy Cake away from the smoke. It's more of a firepower-based operator in the likes of Malusi. This is going to give him a little bit more of a free-flowing round for himself instead of having to sit on those smokes and make sure that he tries to delay them out. He can take his gunfights, and those Banshees will still persist.
Obviously, not as much of an issue with him dying in the early round as a result of that, and on top of that, because of the Banshees on the ground, that just adds to the utility that Team 1 are going to actually have to take out before they can confidently commit themselves into an execute. We'll see the Aruni laser gates come down once again to block off full access to both the master bedroom as well as the walk-in. Softball going to get left here this time too, as they'll pull off the same strategy that was done on the second attempt from Team 1 back at the end of the last half. It's like, yeah, we kind of like that strat, so we're going to take it. And we'll see how this pans out as they try to finally control things here at the very end of regulation, looking for a 7-5 victory on the first map.
The biggest difference here inside of the setups is obviously muringa is going to be on mute, but that has no play in what Team 1's doing overall because of the EMPs. And this is where you're more than likely going to see the effectiveness of what Alamau's kit can do to these kind of setups. It should be just a simple wedge that's dug straight through Master, and we'll have to see if they can possibly deal with that because it's going to be quite a bit of pressure here, but this is stuff that Liquid seemingly are capable of dealing with, especially with the setup here for PSK and muringa. He'll be playing close with that M590 for Closet here. PSK playing in longer range with the 416C.
See that slow progression as usual for Team 1 as they'll check things out with the drone setup. Once again, sending quite a few of those drones in there, at least 3 now getting taken out by the members of Team Liquid as they try to just throw them into the upstairs rooms to see what exactly is lurking and what Team Liquid did change up from the previous setup. Quite a bit, in fact, so there's definitely going to have to be some discussion on how to handle it, but thankfully, since it's incredibly similar to what Team 1 themselves did on their second attempt on this site, they should be very well aware and know exactly how to handle this.
Aside from that, so some change up in the utility as well with those Goyo shields coming in for Nesk, and he'll be in the Attic position this time instead. So if Team 1 try and go for this, it's not going to be muringa this time around. It'll be a vector wheeling Brazilian. Has a heck of an aim as well, so we'll see how they fare with that. But Alamau has been firing on all cylinders throughout the entirety of this game thus far. And I'm assuming we're going to see more of that on the second map, but obviously they don't want that to happen just yet. They're 1 round away from overtime. They're going to be able to cut things off here for Shower, making sure that none of these Liquid members can try and get pressure over towards this side of the map. And more we're getting vision of this. More and more this is looking like the Dorms offense here for Team 1. They do not want to deal with Liquid setup for Master.
Sexy and muringa trying to dodge around the drones here, trying to reveal as little as possible. Frag grenades also rolling in here, starting to put some additional pressure onto these players as well. Sexy, like we said, a little bit more mobile on the inside of this round, not just hard locked to the inside of big dorms where he has to try and deploy out those toxic babes from. Can move around, can be a little bit more amorphous here, and a little bit more unpredictable against Team 1's push. muringa, still the first contact here for KDS, and likely for the rest of Team 1 as well. They've got him stacked as likely one of the first players to try and move in, to try and get aggressive. That's not the only piece, though. One player on Repel. It's a smart Repel angle from Allo to avoid this Nitro cell, and now KDS finally snipes out muringa with a headshot there to take him down. Looking for more of these swings to come in, but instead it's going to be Allo on the Repel that gets it done. There's not enough working right now for Team Liquid. They're not hitting their shots the way they were doing before here. That's going to start to change, though. Paluh and PSK both find pickups, but can they continue to turn it around? Yes, apparently they can, as PSK drops the case now, evening out the odds into a 2 versus 2. Allo and Neskin looking to make up the difference, as at least one of them has been forced out of the site with the case still down on the ground. And there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Liquid rebound from a deficit and take control 7-5 at the end of map number 1.
Incredible play from Liquid. They're able to bounce back on dorms and take it inside of regulation. It was the last round inside of regulation, but it was still inside of regulation. And you kind of got to feel bad for Team 1 there. I think the